A bad DJ set can happen to absolutely anyone, and the chances are it may not be as bad as you think. In this video, I'm going to share tips on how to do your best to prevent bad sets in the first place. If you are having a bad set, how to deal with it in that moment, and post-show, how to recover, learn from it, and also how to help the experience to make you stronger moving forward. No doubt the best way to prevent a bad set is preparation. You're going to want to know your audience. So is it a club event? Maybe it's a house party or a function. Are you the only DJ, or are you on a lineup with other DJs? And let's say you are on a lineup, where are you placed on that lineup? Like, what time of night are you playing? And even if you can, find out who the other DJs are. Remember, different events and time slots equals different energy. So do your best to know as much as you can going in. And if you can, talk to the promoter or the organizer in advance just to get a feel for what they expect from you. Now, personally, if you're playing at a club, I would ideally go to the club in the weeks leading up to the party and get a feel for what the other DJs are playing at certain stages in the night. And I'll also see what people are responding to. Now, if you can't get to the event, go to the club's social media pages and see if they have any posts or reels of the night and listen for what kind of music they're playing. You may even research like other DJs that you're sharing a lineup with, and maybe there's even a resident DJ, in which case go to their SoundCloud page and just get a feel for what they're playing. If it's a house party, it can be a little bit trickier, as sometimes the organizer tells you what they want, right? But then you turn up and what people want on the night could be completely different. See, I actually played a house party a few weeks ago, and that experience inspired this video as I asked for a brief on the music and they said, oh, play chill tribal stuff. And so I prepared all this chill tribal stuff, but then they ended up pushing my set way back, right? And so by the time I came on, people were pretty high, and basically they wanted more music that was upbeat and even familiar. And when I went into the tribal music I prepared, I cleared the dance floor, right? So then I switched up the genres and went into more of a house and an Afro vibe, and that got like a much better response. But I hadn't prepared for that, and I didn't have enough music with me. Like, this was so stupid of me. So what happened was I had a really tough time as I had to drop my pre-planned set, right? There's some lessons here, okay? And I had to search through my USB for more upbeat tracks, which, like I said, I didn't have a lot of. And the lesson there is not only do your research, but also always have more music ready than you could possibly play, and be mindful of using pre-planned sets. Now, I'll be honest, okay, no doubt there's advantages of pre-planned sets, as you can craft something in advance that's really special with beautiful transitions, and the whole set works like a poem, like this flowing body of work that, let's say you did your research right and you got the music right for that event. A pre-planned set can no doubt blow people away, and it can create a real buzz. However, if you got the music wrong and your pre-planned set is not getting the response that you're after, you're going to have to abandon it. And that means having more music and playlists ideally sorted by energy and feels for quick access, okay? So in my case, I really wish on that night I had an upbeat house folder, perhaps even another folder with some anthems and classics. That's what people were after. And even a playlist with more Afro house vibes, like the Afro stuff was going nuts. See, I should have also included past sets that I'd done that people really would have loved. I knew that. See, in short, the more music you have to choose from, the better you can handle any situation. And not having the right tracks or only turning up with a pre-planned set, it's risky, and I honestly can't believe I made that rookie mistake, and it will never happen again. But here's the thing, people often ask me, how do I know if the tracks, like let's say you're freestyling, how do you know if the tracks are just going to work well together if you're just reading the crowd and picking songs just moment to moment? And I'll be honest, if it's a choice between perfect transitions or playing the right track for that moment, the crowd pretty much only really cares about the energy and the vibe you create, and that mainly comes down to your track choices. Don't get me wrong, transitions can enhance it, but if it's a choice, song selection. If you're playing at a club, the chances are you'll be expected to use the venue's equipment, which will be Pioneer CDJs or sometimes an XDJ. Both are USB compatible, which means preparing your music for USB using Rekordbox and then exporting your tracks within Rekordbox software onto a USB key. Now, if you're unsure how to do that, check out the link in the description below for my free mini course. I have like 20 free videos and PDFs on how to get started as a DJ. But anyway, let's say you are using USB. Two things to note. One, the older gear, well, it may not be compatible with the new USB keys. So for instance, the older gear, anything 3.0 and below is fine, but 3.1 and USB 3.2 may not be compatible. That's more like newer software. Okay, and another thing is, if the link cable connecting the CDJs is faulty, or maybe it keeps dropping out, which sometimes can happen, you're going to need a second USB stick, like one for each player. So it can just be a duplicate of your first USB, but just take a second USB just to be on the safe side. Now, if you're unsure though at all, just go in early, familiarize yourself with the gear, check your USBs are loading, and you can also contact the promoter in advance and just find out what they're using, so you can just do some research and just know what to expect. If you're playing at a house party or function, the chances are you may be the only DJ on the lineup. So you're the DJ responsible for all the music, in which case you may be like expected to provide all the equipment, which could mean the DJ gear, the speakers, the stands for the speakers, maybe all the lighting. And that's going to then reflect on how much you charge, okay? Is taking a full DJ setup and just like setting it all up and packing it all down, that's actually a pretty big responsibility, okay? But at least then you know the setup well because it's your own. But let's say you're playing a party and you're sharing a lineup with other DJs. You're going to have to liaise with the organizer and find out if a sound system is going to be provided and whether or not all DJs will be sharing one piece of DJ gear. As ideally, especially when sharing lineups with other DJs, you want to use something that's USB compatible so people can just turn up with USB sticks, which honestly makes changeovers so much easier and more professional. But what I am finding when playing at house parties is DJs want to use their own equipment, which means everyone's got a controller and a computer. And what it means is there's going to be a gap in the music as one DJ unplugs their controller and then basically the next DJ plugs in there, which isn't ideal, but still, it happens and it's a house party, so fuck it, But the main thing I guess that could go wrong here is that you go to connect your controller to the sound system, and let's say you've got an entry-level controller. So for instance, maybe the FLX4. You might find that their outputs at the back are RCA outputs, but then you actually go to connect it to the speakers and they've got XLR inputs, and then it's an incompatible cable. So the solution to this is you could buy a specialized cable, so an RCA to an XLR male, or if someone else on the lineup is using club gear, perhaps you could actually connect your controller to one of the channels on their mixer. So just like RCA to one of the RCA inputs, just much like in the same way you'd connect a CDJ. Again, if you're at all worried, communication and preparation is the key. But let's say you're having trouble communicating with the other DJs, they're just being a little bit vague or aloof. You may decide to just have your own gear in the car, just ready in case. And you may also take 2 USB sticks, you've got the correct cables, and you're doing everything you can to be organized and prepared no matter what's going on. And let's say all of a sudden you're turning up and the DJs are just being a little bit difficult to work with. My advice, try and remain calm, and worst comes to the worst, the music stops while you disconnect their gear and put your own gear in. It's not the end of the world. It's more important to have a cool attitude and just kind of go with the flow instead of like micromanaging everything, trying to control everything to sort of go a certain way. I'll be honest, not everything goes the way you want it to. And even if things don't go smoothly, there's the event and then how you react to it, and people are going to remember the reaction more than the issue itself. So you've got to be cool if you want people to want to work with you. Even if they're not being cool, you've got to be the change. You've got to act in the way that you would like to be treated. So don't always be like, oh, they're being a dick, I'll be a dick back. You be the best version of yourself. Don't let other people bring you down. And that means you go in with a good attitude and just relax like you are at a party. Try and have fun. Now, if the idea of clearing a dance floor like scares the shit out of you, right? Just invite as many people as you know, like to your show, okay? So if you have a handful of mates there, that creates energy. So let's say even you got 5 friends dancing, ideally 5 girls, that could draw in another dozen or 2 people, right? So let's say you've got like 24 people on your dance floor. That's gonna make, let's say you put on a bad song, if you've got like 20 people on your dance floor, it's gonna make your recovery much easier. It's when you've got no support on the dance floor and you've cleared it completely that things become more tricky, as you have no energy to work with. Now, in which case, let's say you've cleared your dance floor, start experimenting with different genres and feels and just see what gets people dancing, and then do more of that. Now, to be in the right mindset, I usually do a pre-show ritual. So I go outside, do some deep breathing. I do my best to feel centered and balanced, and perhaps even set an intention for the set. And at the risk of sounding like a full-blown hippie that's into astrology, I may even do a little prayer and ask for help to assure that the set goes well and that the crowd loves it. See, even expressing your intentions, it has power as it points you in the direction that you want to go. So being like, yeah, man, I want to kill it. Help me to kill it, Believe in divine powers, whatever, but whatever you can do to help yourself and get yourself on track, do it. Now, even if things are going wrong, you need to do your best to stay cool, not panic, and ideally look like you're having fun. See, I'll be honest, right, this is much harder than it sounds. So in this show I played a few weeks back, I cleared my floor. I didn't have enough music, and I didn't even have the right kind of music, and I went into panic mode to the point where people started coming up to me, reassuring me that the set's going great. And honestly, it's bad when people start coming up and they start expressing sympathy, okay? So the truth was, in hindsight, okay, maybe the set wasn't actually as bad as I was making it look like it was. Okay, I hopped into this mind frame and I started spiraling, and the people on the dance floor seemed to actually be really enjoying it, yet my energy wasn't helping. And you could argue where attention goes, energy flows. And if you start focusing on how bad you're doing, it can become a self-fulfilling prophecy, and the set can get worse as your confidence shrinks. See, I think it's this fear, right, that prevents people from actually wanting to play live in the first place, because it can be confronting. But the truth is, the fear helps you in the long run as you learn from it and you grow personally and professionally. Now, I read this quote recently that said, our power is on the other side of discomfort. So don't shy away from discomfort, as that's where the lessons are. And if you can learn from your mistakes and in future be better prepared, then you've grown. And honestly, in future, you'll be a better DJ. And learning and growing is a big part of the human experience. And we should all be putting ourselves in situations where we're forced to grow. We're putting ourselves outside of our comfort zones, as that usually generates ideas. And in my opinions, it's in the ideas that you kind of get like inspiration. And then if you're making progress towards your goals, you're most likely feeling better about yourself. And that's what we have to do. Trust me, the nerves that come with playing live are a rush. They, use it, man. It's actually kind of fun. You get a bit of adrenaline. And 9 times out of 10, your shows are going to rock, okay? And you're going to be hooked and you're going to be craving more opportunities. But sure, okay, if you are playing regularly, you're going to get the odd bad show, okay? But when it happens, don't feed it with doubt. Take a breath, okay? Read the crowd and be flexible in your approach. Maybe even start by putting on a track that you personally love. Get yourself into the right state, Listen to the music, and better yet, feel into it and do your best to get out of your head, okay? Into your body. Try and feel it, okay? And then if you're into the whole intentions thing, set an intention. And maybe the intention would be just to have fun, okay? Like sometimes just by setting an intention and redirecting your energy and focus, the crowd then follows. Like it's miraculous, okay? And then you may be able to easily turn it around. And if not, you'll learn for next time. Win-win. In short, the issues when playing live are usually the issue itself, okay, which could be tech or music related, and then how you feel about it. Now, you need to learn to control both. So here's a list of what could go wrong and how to prevent it. So number 1, tech issues. Just do your best to know the gear in advance. Number 2, wrong music. Do your best to read the crowd and adapt, even if it means abandoning pre-planned sets. Number 3, let's say your transitions are shit. Pull back on the effects and remember, track choice over transitions. Okay, number 4, your confidence starts to spiral. Maybe control your physiology, put your chest out, not like arrogantly, but, just stand straight, smile, and who knows, you may start having fun, okay? You see, remember, no one really cares about little mistakes. It's more about playing the right kind of music. And if you don't have the right kind of music for that event, well, then you've learned a valuable lesson for next time. Like, trust me, I will never make that mistake again. I have learned a lot, and I'm going to come back. I've got something to prove now. I'm going to come back and make my next show even better. Now, I had a friend play recently and the show went really well. Yet at one stage, he did load a track onto the deck playing, okay? So it stopped, it went silent, okay? And it was an obvious fuck up, okay? But the truth is, no one really cared. He just put on the next track and the night continued, okay? But he did take it personally. See, it's funny, right? Like 90% of that set was amazing, yet he chose to focus on the 5%. Now, I know it sounds silly, but we all do it. So my advice, focus on what goes right and use whatever goes wrong as an opportunity to grow and to make it better next time. See, making mistakes is human. In the day of AI, being human and vulnerable is relatable. So own it, man. Don't shy away. So to summarize, to prevent bad shows, you want to know your crowd, venue, and gear, okay? You need to have a versatile music collection on hand, and that means you've got a backup plan or even backup plans, and that equals greater control and an ability to be flexible if you need to be. When you practice for the show, sure, get a playlist and even work on the beginnings of a pre-planned set with some really cool transitions that are going to wow people, but then expand on that set and work on your plan B, okay? And practice bringing in different genres and feels from your other playlists. Let's say you've got DJ friends, get them to come over and maybe you could practice doing back-to-back sets and play off the back of whatever tracks they choose. See, that's a great exercise in reacting to whatever the person before you's just played and doing unrehearsed transitions. It's a lot of fun. I do it all the time with my mates. Now on the night, I suggest arriving early, not only to check out the equipment before everyone arrives and make sure everything's working okay so there's no hidden surprises, but also to support the event and get a feel for the night before you go on. I also suggest networking a little bit. See, you're the DJ, okay? People generally like DJs, okay? So let everyone know you're playing. Now, I know that may sound lame, but okay. I've looked at crowd dynamics a lot, and usually people go for a few reasons. So number 1, they go for the music. Number 2, to socialize and perhaps even to meet someone romantically. And 3, maybe to get high, which means, perhaps they're extra open and chatty anyway. So if you're dancing or even waiting at the bar or you're in a queue for the toilet, whatever, introduce yourself to anyone that will listen, okay? And just let everyone you encounter know that you're playing. See, people do usually love DJs, and if you're taking the time to get to know people in advance and you're express that you're playing and perhaps you'd say, man, I'm playing, maybe even let them know you're nervous and that you'd appreciate their support, then they're going to feel significant because you've kind of created a connection with them and they're probably most likely going to support you. And the more support you have when you play, the easier it's going to be to keep your dance floor steady. See, it's when your dance floor thins completely, okay, that things can become stressful. And when that happens, just remind yourself there are 2 types of people, okay? Big people with small problems and small people with big problems. So all in all, clearing your dance floor in the big scheme of things is a pretty small problem. And if you make it a big problem, well, then that you just need to grow, become bigger, so it's less of a problem. Expand your energy, chest out, chin up, smile, and commit to having fun. As honestly, life doesn't have to be complex. Let's just have fun, share our love of music with whoever will listen. See, I read this quote once and it said, detachment is like a bird that sings its song and doesn't care who's listening or what people think. So sing your song, share your sound, and use music to connect like-minded people through atmospheres that uplift and inspire. You've got this. Cheers.